Imagine you are playing a strategy game. Your army has 60,000 soldiers. Suddenly you learn that 250,000 enemies are coming. Most people would think the game is already lost. But instead of running away, you decide to trap the enemies inside a giant wall. Then you build another wall behind you in case even more enemies arrive. It sounds crazy, right? But this is exactly what Julius Caesar did more than 2,000 years ago at a place called Alesia. This battle became one of the smartest military plans in history. And by the end of this story, you will see how one clever idea helped Caesar defeat an army 4 times bigger than his own. Long ago, the Romans wanted to control a land called Gaul. Today, that area is mostly France. Many different tribes lived there. These tribes were strong and brave, but they had one big weakness. They rarely worked together. Because of that, Caesar's Roman army slowly defeated them tribe by tribe. But then something changed. A new leader appeared. His name was Vercingetorix. He was young, smart, and very good at inspiring people. He traveled between tribes and gave powerful speeches. He told them something important. If we keep fighting alone, Rome will defeat us. But if we unite, we can win. And for the first time ever, the tribes of Gaul joined together into one massive army. Suddenly Caesar was no longer fighting small groups. He was facing a huge united rebellion. Vercingetorix also had a clever plan. Instead of attacking the Romans directly, he used a strategy called scorched earth. This means destroying your own food and supplies so the enemy cannot use them. Fields were burned. Food was hidden or destroyed. Villages were emptied. The Romans started having trouble finding food. For a moment, it looked like Caesar might actually lose. But then Vercingetorix made a decision that would change everything. He moved his army into a hilltop fortress called Alesia. Alesia was a very strong position. The town sat on top of a high hill. Around it were steep slopes and rivers. Imagine trying to climb a mountain while thousands of warriors above you are throwing spears and arrows. Attacking Alesia directly would have been extremely difficult. Inside the fortress were around 80,000 Gaulish warriors. Even more important, Vercingetorix knew that a giant relief army was being gathered across Gaul. Soon another huge force would arrive to rescue him. Most generals would see this situation and think it was impossible to win. But Caesar had another idea. Instead of attacking the fortress, he decided to trap everyone inside it. Caesar ordered his soldiers to begin building a massive wall around Alesia. This wall stretched about 15 kilometers, which is around 9 miles long. Think about that for a moment. Roman soldiers built a giant ring of defenses completely surrounding the hill. The goal was simple. No one inside the fortress could escape. And no food or supplies could enter. At first the Gauls probably thought they could break out. But as the days passed, they realized something frightening. They were not defending a fortress anymore. They were trapped inside a giant cage. Food supplies inside Alesia slowly started running out. People became hungry and worried. But Vercingetorix still had hope. The rescue army was coming. And Caesar knew that too. This is where his plan became truly brilliant. Instead of preparing to fight the rescue army in open battle, Caesar gave another order. Build another wall. Yes, another one. But this second wall faced outward, away from the fortress. Now imagine what the battlefield looked like. First wall facing the city. Second wall facing the outside world. The Roman army stood in the middle between the two walls. Inside the city were 80,000 Gauls. Outside, a huge rescue army of perhaps 200,000 warriors was coming. The Romans were now surrounded on both sides. If the two Gaulish armies attacked together and broke through the defenses, Caesar's army could be destroyed. But Caesar prepared for this problem too. The Roman soldiers turned the land between the walls into a giant trap. They dug deep trenches in the ground. Some trenches were filled with water. They dug hundreds of hidden pits and placed sharp wooden stakes inside them. They scattered small iron spikes across the ground that could injure soldiers and horses. And along the walls they built tall towers where Roman soldiers could shoot arrows and throw spears. This meant that anyone attacking the Roman defenses would have to cross layer after layer of deadly obstacles. Soon the most dangerous moment arrived. The Gaulish relief army finally appeared. Ancient writers say this army could have had 150,000 to 250,000 warriors. Now the plan was clear. The army outside Alesia would attack the Romans from one side. At the same time, Vercingetorix and the warriors inside the city would attack from the other side. The Romans would be trapped between two massive forces. For a while, the plan almost worked. Thousands of Gaulish warriors charged the Roman defenses. They tried to climb the walls and break through the traps. Some Roman positions began to struggle. At the same time, the warriors inside Alesia attacked the inner wall. Roman soldiers suddenly had to fight enemies in two directions at once. The battle became chaotic. If the Gauls broke through even one part of the Roman walls, the entire Roman army might be surrounded. At this dangerous moment, Caesar did something dramatic. He rode into the battlefield wearing his bright red commander's cloak. Everyone could see him clearly. This showed the Roman soldiers that their leader was fighting beside them. The sight encouraged the troops. They fought harder to defend the walls. But Caesar did not just defend. He launched one final move. He ordered the Roman cavalry, soldiers on horseback, to ride around the battlefield and attack the Gaulish army from the side. This sudden attack surprised the Gauls. The Roman horsemen smashed into their lines. Soon the Gaulish army outside Alesia started losing confidence. Some warriors began retreating. And when one part of a huge army begins running away, panic can spread quickly. Within a short time the giant rescue army began to collapse. The Gauls fled from the battlefield. Inside Alesia, Vercingetorix and his warriors saw that the rescue army had been defeated. They knew the battle was over. The next day something unforgettable happened. Vercingetorix rode out of the fortress on his horse. He approached Caesar and placed his weapons at Caesar's feet. This was a sign of surrender. With that moment, the great rebellion of Gaul ended. Caesar had defeated a coalition army far larger than his own. This victory made him incredibly famous in Rome. His success in Gaul helped him gain power and influence. Years later, that power would lead him to take control of Rome itself. The Battle of Alesia shows an important lesson. Winning is not always about having the biggest army. Sometimes the smartest plan wins. Caesar did not defeat the Gauls with strength alone. He used engineering, planning, and strategy to trap his enemies. And that is why, even today, more than 2,000 years later, the Siege of Alesia is still studied by historians and military leaders. If you enjoyed learning this amazing moment from ancient history, make sure to like the video and subscribe. And if you think this battle was clever, wait until you hear the story of another Roman disaster when an entire army walked into a trap inside a dark forest.